always been curious about this book, House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski, but you've never read it or you haven't had time or you just want to hear more about it, then stick around because I'm going to be doing a series of videos where I explore the different plot lines and storylines in this novel. And of course, it should go without saying, this is going to be full of spoilers. So today I want to touch on the Navidson Record. The Navidson Record is the name given to the documentary film that features at the heart, pun intended, of this novel. So, cast of characters. When we're talking about the Navidson Record, we are referring to the Navidson family who move from New York to Virginia and purchase this old house on Ash Tree Lane that was supposedly built in like the 1720s. So our cast of characters that we're initially working with are Will Navidson, who is a documentarian. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning photojournalist, most famous for having taken a photo of a young girl in the Sudan who is on the brink of dying. She's starving to death, and there is a vulture looming behind her. Will is married to Karen. She's a former model. She's described as being very beautiful. He initially doesn't seem to have very much strength. She talks about her claustrophobia. She talks about her anxiety, and she's really written in a way that makes her seem codependent on Navidson. Will is very rarely referred to as Will. He's often referred to as Navidson, and Karen actually calls him Nate. She is very much like he's the adult in the relationship, and she seems to really like lean and need him. They have 2 children. They have an 8-year-old son named Chad, and they have a 5-year-old daughter named Daisy. Navidson, Will, also has a twin brother named Tom, and they're very different because their childhood wasn't easy. They lost a parent when they were young, and Will kind of like fell into his ambition, and that's sort of what saved him and gave him a reason for going on. And Tom didn't have that. He's had some substance abuse issues. He's struggled with relationships. He's struggled like with his career. He hasn't found the same amount of success as Navidson, but arguably he is going to play a very important heroic role later on in the novel. Everything starts pretty easily. They buy this house. They're setting it up. The kids are excited. Karen's excited. Navidson is very excited. It's supposed to be sort of like a coming back to one another. This move is supposed to heal the rift that has been slowly appearing in their family. And so what Navidson does is, because he's a documentarian, he puts high-8 cameras everywhere in the house, so there's not necessarily sound, but most of the angles are covered. And the idea is that he's gonna like put all this together and he's gonna turn into a film of like this adventure that his family is going on. Because it's important also to note that Navidson is someone who has been in like war zones. He's been in extreme temperatures and extreme locations. He is someone who is used to documenting and photographing and videoing, recording, I don't know, oh my god, different intense locations. So as I mentioned in like the primer for this series, one of the first things that we notice is that Karen builds some bookshelves that begin flush to the wall, and she's like, oh, this is perfect, I don't need bookends, I have 2 walls. And Tom comes to visit because Navidson has realized that like there's more space in his living room than can account for. So like he goes outside, he measures the outdoor, like the outside walls. He's coming back in, he's comparing, he calls some friends. They can't figure it out. So Tom comes, he's like, oh, it's probably just your measuring tape. So he comes, and then he's actually the one, he pushes down like a couple of the books, and then they fall off the shelf, which causes Karen to scream because like only a few days before those walls were flush to the bookshelves. So they also call a friend named Billy Reston. He is a paraplegic, he's in a wheelchair, and he is someone that worked with Navidson before and was actually injured on one of their expeditions. Comes and he's going to be helping them out. He's going to be helping them figure out what's going on in the house. Some of the eerie things that begin to happen after this like shifting of the walls is a corridor appears between the parents' bedroom and the kids' bedroom. It's just like a dark hallway that they can't really account for, and it kind of connects them. It seems as though it should have initially been a closet, but it continues on and the 2 rooms are now connected. What is more is in the living room on the northern or western wall, I can't remember now, but a door appears that wasn't there before, and when they open it, it's just like dark inside. And when I say that it's dark, I don't mean like it's kind of like obscured, it's sort of dark. This novel talks about a kind of darkness that is all encompassing, like that swallows light. It is the absence of all light. It is referred to as the abyss. It is all encompassing, perfect darkness. It is empty. What they start realizing is that every time they go into this corridor, it becomes longer. Karen refuses to go in because of this claustrophobia. The idea of going in there causes her to become like nauseated, and she cannot stomach the idea. So Navidson goes in, Tom goes in, Reston goes in, and every time they go in, they realize not only is this hallway getting longer, but like there are doors are appearing, or you can kind of like go around a corner. And so basically what you have are these endless corridors out like on the other side of this door in their living room. They realize they're a little bit out of their depth, and so they call in another friend, like acquaintance of theirs named Holloway, and he is an adventurer. He's a big game hunter. Like this is what he does. He has the guns, he has the equipment, he has the lights, he has the survival gear to go and explore this thing properly, because Karen isn't going to go. And not only that, she is not going to allow Navidson to go. She absolutely refuses to let him go in there. She thinks it's too dangerous. She cannot deal with this idea that he would be in danger. And so he stays back. And they set up a sort of like home base. So he's got radios so that they can kind of stay in contact as they go forth. So the documentary is divided into 4 major explorations. The first is undergone by Holloway and 2 men that he has brought with him, Jed and Wax. And they've done expeditions with Holloway before. Like one of them has like climbed Everest. Like they're experienced adventurers and explorers. So they go in, they go down this hallway, and they realize like they're bringing fishing line with them, and they realize that at one point they've used almost 2 miles worth of line. And not only that, but Holloway hears a growl. So he hears something that is like, it's never really described as more than a growl. We don't know if it's human, we don't know if it's animalistic, but Holloway hears it very, very clearly. And not only that, but Navidson has heard this growl before and has actually warned them about it. Exploration 2 lasts about 8 hours. They go back in, they bring more of that wire, like so that they can kind of, I guess, follow their way back. There are also, by the way, a ton of analogies made to Theseus and the Minotaur and the Labyrinth of Crete. If you know that myth, that's going to make a whole lot of sense. But basically, as they're exploring, they come through this huge like arch in a wall, and this arch is like hundreds of feet high. So that's the other thing, is when they're going down into these dark corridors, the proportions of this thing are completely bonkers. Like we're talking about walls that go on for miles, and like ceilings that sometimes like you can't even see where they end. So he goes through this arch, like they go through what they call the anteroom, and then they end up in the Great Hall, which is even like a bigger space, if you can believe that. And in the Great Hall, they find a staircase that is a circular staircase, and it's going down. Expedition 3, I should say, lasts about 20 hours. It actually takes the group 45 minutes to get to the staircase, and then they descend it for 7 hours. They also realize that the diameter of the staircase has gone from like, I think 200 feet to about 500 feet. And when they decide that they're ready to come back up, it takes them 11 hours to get back to the Great Room. Karen, in the meantime, has been trying to like feng shui the house. She's trying to balance out the energies. So she's buying all of these things, and she's realizing like it's not working. And one of the reasons why it's not working is because some of these objects need to be facing in a certain like direction. And she can't get that to work because every time she buys a compass and brings it back to the house, the compass doesn't work. It spins everywhere, and like she can't get a reading on it. So at this point, Tom is ready to leave. Navidson begs him to stay so that they can do a 4th exploration. And then you also have this sort of like strange animosity that begins to happen between Holloway and Navidson. Holloway is afraid that Navidson is going to like fire him and take him away before he can solve this mystery. He sees this as like a path to glory. He's going to be the one that like finds the bottom of the staircase, even though he already has. He's going to figure out what it means. He's going to figure out like what's going on. Oh my God, I already ran out of time. This is going to be way more parts than I thought.